everybody, and welcome to the Karis project. On Proverbs, guys. We are going to be doing the Delilah effect. This is talking a little bit about the effects of women destroying men, and so this is kind of what we're going to be working on this um, this this episode. Anything you want to say about that before we get to it?
Um, yeah, what's good, guys? Um, what's up? Yeah, a lot of women today are being used to destroy men. I was actually just talking about this in a stream before like on a live stream on Instagram before I came on here, and people need to wake up and see how these things are being done. Ultimately, I think if men had more respect and honor in society, like if people had more respect for them and cared about more the problems of men, then we wouldn't be in the position that we're in today, and women wouldn't be getting away with this Delilah effect business. But anyway, so we'll just get right into it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up this the PowerPoints here so that we can start up with. Where's that? There we go. Right there. So we'll just start up with this over here. Oh, let me just stop that. All right, so here we go. We're gonna do. Obviously, we're gonna start off in the same place, which faces the substance of things hoped for,
That's so
the,
funny.
the evidence of things not seen, for by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen are made of things which do not appear. All right, so now we got that there.
No, but that's funny because on my stream, someone asked me a question. I said that exact same thing just a couple minutes ago. Well, like before this stream was when I was streaming on Instagram. So that's really funny. Great minds think alike in it. Okay, so continue.
Yeah. So weakness to treacherous women. So Samson was a really strong man, right? And he ended up doing a lot of work there. And so we're going to look at this here. And it says, Judges 16, 1 to 3. Then went Samson to Gaza and saw there a harlot and went in unto her. And it was told to the Gazite, saying, Samson is come hither. And they were quiet all the night, saying, in the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city and the two posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them before his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of the hill that is before Hebron. So Samson's got a weakness here to women. He is looking to go ahead and, just have his way with women, which is not really what needs to be done, right? He's going in to see harlots, that's prostitutes, right? And in that going into the prostitutes, what did the people wanted to do? They wanted to try and kill him. And he was playing with fire the whole time and avoiding it, but his weakness is Samson was the strongest man alive. His weakness was from women, right? And so we're going to go ahead and start looking at how that is going to destroy people. All right, so they're again using women, weak men, the weak men that were weaker than Samson, because he was unstoppable, They are using a woman to destroy him. And it came to pass that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him. And when we see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou might be bound to afflict thee. So they given this woman money in order to destroy this man, and she's going to come in and sell this man out for money, right? The strongest man on planet Earth, she is like, well, I'm going to be able to do it because I'm going to use the fact that he likes me and so forth to use as a weapon to destroy him for great gain. Because 1,100 pieces of silver, that is a large sum of money. Jesus was sold for 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave.
Oh shoot, 1,100. 1,100. Yes. Yeah, that's crazy. Yes. Yeah, Jesus sold for 30.
30 pieces of silver.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Oh, the disrespect.
So at this point, right, like, I mean, she could buy like 37 slaves. That's a whole workforce.
Wow.
Right? So she's thinking to herself, I'm gonna get my bag. Right? And I'm gonna destroy this man for this bag. And Samson, and she keeps trying to get the information from him by using her body and her feminine wiles. And Samson said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak as another man. Then the lords of the Philistine brought up the 7 green withs which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding in her chamber, and she said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs as a thread of tow broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. Right? So this is where the stupidity and the arrogance of this man is. Because this woman tried to kill him.
Yeah.
She told him the information, and she straight up tried to kill him.
Yeah.
And what did he do?
That's crazy.
He comes back. And he's still with her. I don't know what this is. This is like some serious like voodoo that she has. the vagina voodoo.
Yeah, honestly.
That has him like deluded because she tried to murder him.
Yeah.
And he's still hanging her up.
That was crazy.
Yes.
Like, that's insane.
Yes.
And they paid her just for the one time, right?
No, this is for her. She wants for him to get. They want him dead, and that money comes to her when he gets
dead,
gets caught,
yeah.
And they get the secret of his strength. And so
that's so evil, man.
Then Delilah said unto Samson, Behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak as another man, and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson, and there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. So she asks him again. He tells her something, and she tries to kill him. And what does he do? He goes back again.
That's crazy.
And she's now playing on his emotions and everything else like this, because this is what she's doing, making his life hell. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head and with the web. And she fastened it with the pin and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awakened out of his sleep and went away with the pin in the beam and with the web. Again, she tried to kill him. Like, the guy is the strongest man alive that ever lived. But you can see what the power of the vagina has done to this man. It is turned his brain to mush. And she said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth.
Can you imagine the audacity? She not only did she betray him, she's telling him that he betrayed her because he didn't give her the true answer of his weakness because they failed to actually kill him.
Yes.
Do you see the audacity? Could you imagine walking up to someone saying, how dare you lie to me on how to kill you properly? And he still sleeps with you. He still be with men. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is
why you should not be just lying down with random women. This Samson,
that's insane.
Exactly. This is how men get ensnared, by jumping it, not being able to control their penises. Straight out. Crazy. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death. So this woman was constantly harassing him. Then he told her all his heart, and said unto her, there is not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once, for he showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and they brought money in their hand.
That's crazy.
Oh, yes. This is just straight wickedness and deceit.
And he knows that she was trying to kill him, because every time he lied to her, she went and took the lie to try and kill him.
And then she's like, yes, this is. And then she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him.
Wait a second, the 7 locks of his head, you think his hair was braided or something?
Yeah, and then and he shaved it off. And she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as the other times before and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. But yeah.
I was literally just talking about how women don't create circumstances like men. They don't know actually all the things that are involved in trying to overtake a man. So if a woman is ever taking down a man, she always needs to be instructed by another man. She doesn't know how to mitigate the risk or the actions of a man. She doesn't know how to read the actions of a man like a man. She doesn't know how he thinks. And so if a woman is coming after a man in an egregious way, she's always being led by another man. Like how she just said, she got him to sleep on the lap, and then she got the other men, she called the men to come and chop his 7 locks. Yes. But they also put her up to the mission to destroy him, and promised to pay her before, gave her a whole number of money, how much they would pay her if she successfully got the information on how to kill Samson. And remember how they've been saying in our society what was it you say that was paying people to go around and hunt people,
Yes.
and all the other organizations that were paying women to go and lie on men
Yes.
about being human trafficked, and they paid them loads and loads of money before they even filed complaints. Do you
Yes.
see how this tactic is exact same? Like Solomon said, there's
Yes.
nothing new under the sun. It's the same.
Yes. And then the Philistines took him and put out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. So they went and they blinded him, and they just are coming to make a mockery of him. And their eyes were blinded as they were rejoicing. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their god, and to rejoice. For they said, Our God hath delivered Samson our enemy into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. Yes. And the weak men, they continued to celebrate his downfall of the strong godly man. And it came to pass when their hearts were made merry, and they said, Call for Samson, that we may make us sport. And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport. And they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that had held him by the hand, Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there. And there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto the Lord and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my two eyes. And Samson took hold of the two middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and the other with his left. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. So
Yeah.
Delilah's treachery caused more destruction to her
In
own
trying to
people.
kill the one guy, he ended up taking out more than he in his entire life in that one moment, because what she done.
Yes.
Because she was focused on what's in front of her. She didn't calculate the potential of what could have happened, or the consequence of what could have happened in trying to kill this man.
Yes,
And
because
this is
when you
what,
use a woman to destroy a man, you win the battle to lose the war.
yeah, because they're going to take tactics that a man would never do, because they don't see the consequences the same way. So they're going to do things in a more reckless way, because they can't mitigate the potential long term of certain actions that they're taking. Like, she would have never been able to calculate the potential of that, because they thought once they stripped him of his strength, he probably wasn't coming back. They didn't anticipate that the hair growing back would bring back the strength. And also, he prayed God, asking, please give me the extra last bit of strength so I can just take out all these people here.
Yes, the point is that was what caused their demise and their
Yeah.
destruction, right? And that's really all there is to it. And then it says again, Behold, I will send you the prophet Elijah before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to the fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
This is so funny.
Now, when you look at this whole situation, I mean, this is people need to people need to start doing what's right. That's all I have to say, because people don't realize what they're doing when they're trying to cause the destruction and when people are serving God.
You
Th-
know,
Go ahead.
I actually, it's funny that all this stuff you're lining out like this. I literally said so much of this in my stream on Instagram just like not too long ago. This is how great minds think alike. Raise a child in the way it should go, and a soldier shall not depart from that. Remember. Anyways, yeah, I think we're gonna take a break
Yeah,
here.
we're going to take a short commercial break and then we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Yeah. So we'll just
The
cut to.
man with no crew, he's not weird, he's not bitter, he's focused. And focused men are the hardest to beat. Let me explain. We're going to talk about the guy who doesn't run in a pack, the one you rarely see in group photos, the one who moves alone. People think he's antisocial, maybe even arrogant. He's strategic because when you think about it, let me just break down the truth. Most men waste their energy trying to impress other men. Always needing a crew, always needing validation, always taking big in front of their boys. But the man who's comfortable being alone, that's a man who's locked in on his purpose. He's not out here every weekend proving he's one of the guys. He's building, he's working. That man is thinking 3 steps ahead. And that makes him dangerous. Because he's not distracted by fake loyalty or people secretly waiting for him to fail. Nah, he's not distracted by none of that. You see, because a man with no crew can't be betrayed, can't be manipulated, and can't be moved by opinions. He doesn't need to be liked. He needs to win. So yeah, laugh at him for eating alone or skipping the hangouts or hanging with the boys. But remember this. The hangouts, him being alone while the crowd is partying, that lone wolf is hunting. And when he shows up with results that speak louder than any hype man ever could speak. And if you're that man or you're becoming him, let me know in the comments, because this is about building power, not just proving you have it.
That no, she's so real for that. Uh, I know someone like that. That is the most attractive type of personality that I think a man can have. It's just like on his mission, doing his business, regardless of who stands behind him. Because I feel like a lot of people, they like, and I'm not a man, obviously, so I don't know the mind of men think, but like just watching the behavior and tendencies, like a lot of men will not do anything unless they have people standing behind them. I like someone who's going to stand on business regardless who's behind him, because he knows he's going to win regardless. He's going to figure out he has the mission, he has the purpose, the ambition. He's just going to make it happen because that's just who he is. a lot of men will not do anything unless there's men standing behind them. They don't feel like confident unless they're in the pack. And I don't really trust people like that. I prefer people who are not afraid to be alone, and they just it's not even like she said, it's not a weird thing. Those people are not weird. They're confident and they're capable and they understand their capability. And sometimes you do have to stand alone. What are you going to do if you don't have the whole pack behind you? Just give up? That's what most people do. So yeah, I think a lot of women are more attracted to that kind of, and I would say that's a sigma mentality, which is greater than the alpha because they just do what they're gonna do. Like they don't need to announce nothing. They just about their business.
Well, it's just there's certain kinds of men that other men will attack and want to get rid of them.
Yeah, and
Yep.
she said about the preying on their downfall, their failure.
And that's exactly what they
Yeah,
did. What you
fake
watched with Samson, because Samson
Yeah.
rolled by himself. Samson was the strongest man around. They couldn't do anything to harm
Yeah.
Samson. And what did they do? They had to use a woman to try to use his weakness. And this is what you see happening all the time. When men cannot overcome another man, they send in women to go and do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then the women think that they're actually going to get what they're going to get. But the women are actually causing more destruction in that point because they go about things in a way that a woman does, thinking about the object, but the man is also a lot further ahead. And if that woman is not sleeping with that man, she is at an extreme
right
disadvantage. An extreme disadvantage. And a lot of the people are saying, oh, all this, that. Well, go ahead. Sit down, jump up and down, and rejoice. But just look back and watch what happened to so many people who were considered criminals, but then everything got laid out, and people saw exactly what was going on. So, I mean, this is the whole thing. Like the Philistines were rejoicing when they said Samson's eyes got put out, but at the end of the day, who had the laugh? It certainly wasn't them because they all caught their death. And more of them caught their death because they came in to gloat over the person that God sent to deal with stuff. And they took the biggest L in the end.
Yeah, they did.
And Jezebel was the one who opened the door for the biggest L. She thought she was going to make that bag and make out like a bandit. But then in the end, she ended up destroying her country that couldn't recover from that situation for a very long time. Right? That's really what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's really what it is. And that's exactly why I tell people all the time, like, you should go through the proper courtship process and you should not have sex before marriage because regardless of what the situation may be, and someone asked, like, oh, well, what if someone's talking to someone, but they're talking about breaking up or whatever? I'm like, it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. First of all, you shouldn't be even thinking about that person, but it doesn't matter because if people were going through the proper courtship process and they were going to the fathers to be vetted, you wouldn't be dealing with any of this nonsense because the father's going to lay down the situation and what the circumstances are going to be going forward, and they're going to make sure that everything happens with honor and integrity and respect. It's not going to calculate his own child's destruction. Like, that's just crazy. So, like, if Samson was guarding himself and following the proper procedure for courtship, he would have never ended up in this mess with this criminal woman. And he would never had his brain, like, put to mush, being, like, confused from having sex with her. It keeps men focused and, like, in charge. Because you can't say that a woman is coming to manipulate you and she's not having sex with you. She's not taking anything from you. You're going through the family and dealing with things properly. You're going to be able to have full control of yourself and not have any blind spots or, foggy decision making. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even matter if you feel like the person's in something else. If you go through the proper channels, it's going to get dealt with regardless because you have that protection of the family to do things with moral and integrity. See what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, these people, they're just, I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. You look at a lot of the people that are thinking that they're getting ahead, but they're actually destroying themselves. They are actually literally destroying themselves.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
They are.
And That's what people really need to.
People don't understand
No, they don't. They don't. I mean, that's really all there is to it. But anyway, let's listen to this next one here.
Don't be surprised when you send your kids off to Caesar and they come back as Romans. Like, that's it. That's it, man. You're wondering why everyone's gone woke and has no idea what bathroom to use anymore. Just if like, what happened to our kids? I'm like, well, you gave them to the government for their entire childhood. You saw them at dinner and you attended their sporting events, but the government raised your kids, and social media helped, and video games or whatever. But you saw them every day, but you didn't raise them. You didn't log enough hours each day to counteract all the poison and time wasting and ideological propagandistic crap that they were getting fed year after year after year. And so millennial generation and now Gen Z has gone woke. And we feel like, oh, what happened to my daughter? We raised him better than that. No, I mean this in love, but you didn't raise him at all. That hurts to say because I know it hurts people to hear. And we trusted that they were being taught good information that wasn't undermining our values. But there's been a psyop in play for decades, which is undermining our values and waging war against the family unit.
That's really it. That's really it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was talking about also video games earlier on the stream because someone asked me about video games and stuff and what anime inspired me. I'm like, look, man, and like cartoons don't inspire me. Like I use it for a way to speak to people in a way that they understand, and there's value in some things of that. But we're talking about video games too, and I was like, my dad actually didn't even buy me any video games as a kid. If I was playing video games, it was because I played with my cousins because they had it. So it was more so like, like whenever I could just get the off chance that I think Spyro might have been the only game that you might have bought me for like their console. But the point is, people are primarily raising their children on TV, but when you don't have mothers around to actually raise the children to teach them what they need to know, then they're going to be raised by like TV, by video games, whatever else is on the internet. I had a grandma and great grandma who was constantly calling me to do stuff with them, learning to knit, sew, crochet, embroider, cook, clean, going on walks, all sorts of things, So, before I was in kindergarten, my great grandmother taught me my times tables from 0 to 13. I still remember the piece of cardboard she wrote it on. So funny. But this is what needs to happen. We need to go back to a place where mothers can actually teach their children proper values before going to school. And honestly, I think even homeschooling, because then they won't even be dealing with this stuff. My dad and my great granny, they never let me read fantasy books growing up. I didn't even know that smut books were a thing until I discovered on Twitter from a post a couple of months ago because people were talking about banning porn and banning smut. I could only read real books with real factual information that could teach me something either scientifically, biblically, linguistically, or otherwise. Whatever. And so people need to go back to this because it's absolutely destroying us. Now, I did mention in my Instagram stream earlier that the things that they put in the TV shows, and probably the games too, I don't know, on like Japanese shows like anime and stuff, I was telling you how even with the Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta outlined the circumstances of being trafficked by Frieza as a child, and how like they said, oh, if you do everything that I say, then I won't kill your father, and then he killed his father anyways. You can't, yeah. He did everything Frieza said, and Frieza killed his father and his entire race anyways. And You can't put that stuff in American and Canadian TV shows. He couldn't blatantly come out and off the rip and say that in a regular TV show that's played on TV where kids' parents would be watching it with them. And I think that's kind of the problem in the places where we are now, like in the West. They're they don't have that more the truth of outlined of the way things actually happen. We have more like delusion, whereas in places like in Asia or whether other places in the world where they actually already have so much tyranny and they're already oppressed in so many other ways, they can bring all that truth to their TV shows and maybe their video games or whatever else because they're living the reality and they're just like, oh, it's just another Tuesday, man, whatever. But if the average person in North America understood this stuff, then they would be like, nah, man, you're not putting that out there for my kids, and I'm actually going to deal with this because I'm seeing the parallels and the patterns in the behaviors of what's happening in reality versus what they're showing my children. Because then they would see that that's also a priming, like that's a grooming.
Yes. And this is the whole thing. At the end of the day, like people love to come down and see that they're destroying the strong men, and they come together with the weak men, and the women come together to destroy the strong men. But
Yeah.
in the end, they are causing their own destruction.
Right.
Right? They're looking and acting like drug addicts and didn't
Yeah.
stop to think that God called Samson to do whatever it is that he did. And a lot of people are so shocked and surprised. Like people were all doing all these kinds of things. And the one thing I have to sit down and say is even when I look at the situation in the influencer community, you're seeing people just going like one way to the other with like no understanding of what's going on. And they're just going, and then now they're watching like things just rolling out, bam, bam, bam. And they're like, oh, I hope this happened, this happened, this happened. But what you're watching is a flood of information coming out in ways that people did not even understand or realize. And people are not seeing how these dots are being connected. And I'm sitting back and I am laughing like crazy. Laughing like crazy when I'm watching this information come out because I see how this stuff fits together.
Yeah.
And this is things that have been said for a very long time, and they're just throwing the pieces out. Like, I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, wow, she's like Santa Claus this week. She's just throwing out all the good stuff.
Yeah, she is. She is. She's really coming in clutch.
Well, one of the things here, when people need to start looking back at the Delilahs and so forth, we're going to bring up this clip here. And this is going to talk about with this epidemic of pornography with the young people.
It's not an overstatement that children and teens now have more access to pornography than any generation in history. And because of this, the vast majority of young people are exposed to pornography before turning 18. Over the past decade, sexual media has spread unchecked across the internet, and habitual pornography use among minors has more than doubled. Today, more and more research studies are exposing the serious dangers of pornography, recently being linked to lower mental health, negative body image, and decreased happiness and connection in personal relationships. Patterns established in the teenage years often extend into adulthood, where adults who view pornography are twice as likely to divorce, leaving lasting harm to individuals and families. A strong connection between children and their parents is one of the most powerful safeguards against these threats, but families can't fight this alone. Fortunately, some states have recently passed laws requiring age verification before accessing explicit sites and better parental controls on social media and app stores. Working together as informed families, we can protect the next generation. Learn more in Wheatley Institute's recent report, Unprotected from Porn.
Yeah, that's fascinating because they said that a child's relationship with their parents is the greatest protection from that. And what have we been saying this whole time?
This is why when
the Bible says.
When they destroy the relationships with the parents, they're creating the circumstances for more children to be destroyed by this pornography.
Yeah. And again, mothers not being there around to safeguard their children while the fathers are actually going out and protecting and providing for their family. Women neglecting their children and choosing their own happiness over the well-being of their husband and children, their whole family, is in large part responsible for a lot of the stuff that's going on, because instead of protecting their children from this filth, they went out and decided to be boss babes. And then it's like, you've made a decision that benefits you in the moment because they see what's dangling in front of their face, but then you've destroyed your children. And they said children who are exposed to this stuff, they're more likely to divorce. So those people, because they're damaged sexually and mentally, intimately, emotionally, physically, spiritually from that experience, they're more likely to have a broken family. And you went and decided to do something that made you feel good despite the repercussions it would have had to your child. And it's like, not being there for your kid and raising them in the way that they need you as a mother, and being there to protect them from harm and danger, or abstaining from a very appearance of evil. As a mother, this is why a lot of Gen Z are not having children, because they're seeing the consequences of their parents' failure, and how careless it was. And it's obviously because of feminism and the lies that those people were told. But then they're like, how am I going to go out and have kids? Because they understand the consequence of making a small failure, how that affects a child. And they're like, I don't want to participate in that. Now, that's the wrong thing, because you can't obviously throw the baby out with the bathwater, but they don't have the solutions because they had parents like that were leaving them to the wolves, kind
Yeah, this is where people really need to start looking at what's going on, right? And this is really what we have to do. We have to really start taking a look at what people are doing and where we are at, and how we're going to take stock of our families, because this rise in the pornography and the sexualization of children and the grooming. Actually, I'll play. Yeah, I'll just play this last portion of the clip just because we're running up on time. Because you're seeing a rise in the transgendered pornography. You're seeing first you saw a lot of the violent pornography, but now that's not being produced as much. But you're seeing more of this stuff with the transgendered pornography. You're seeing more women producers to in pornography that are going to make things feel better, and they're normalizing things after they've been brutalized, and a generation of people being put through a meat grinder, seeing a lot of this violent stuff. Yes, it's still there, but they're producing more of this other kind of stuff that are showing different dysfunctional things, like the step parent and so forth. A lot of these, kind of incestuous scenes, and the LGBTQ plus that are being put in the hands of children to normalize this. And this is where their schools are feeding off of this. And we're going to just listen to the clip of this woman that just talks about this, and think about this with your child being accessing, because this is woman, porn is legal. Not talking about what she's doing with people, consenting adults, that's their business. But when this is going in the hands of a child, listen to what she's saying and how that'll affect the child.
Take my money all day and Toys on Tuesdays, but like, for them to consider that my job is real, what I do, all right, we might want to label me a porn star, but technically I am an influencer. I influence people to do sexual things.
Oh, you're an inspirer. You're a coach. Yeah.
I influence people, which is, we all influence.
Self-help.
Mainstream videos influence people.
So when you have a grown woman that is influencing grown men to do sexual things, what do you think is going to happen if that's put to a child? Right? And this woman, she makes her money by doing extreme scenes. right? She pushes the boundaries more than a lot of people and does things with transgender, does the LGBTQ or whatever stuff all over the place, and some of these extreme scenes as well, in with like even some of the stuff that leans on the violent end. So what happens like this when you have a woman like that coming into being placed in the hands of children by these tech companies? This is no different than the men that are using the women to destroy Samson. This is no different, right? Whether or not she's voluntarily participating or not, it doesn't matter, right? Because someone is taking her content, whether she's unbeknownst to her or not, that's not the issue. Her content is being taken by men and put in the hands of children. And that is destroying the young men so that they will not be able to put up any resistance. And the problems that we're having today is that they're using women to destroy men, the very men that they're screaming to want to protect them. They are destroying them and causing the very downfall of their situation. And all the women that are crying and screaming and saying that we need men, well, then you need to stop doing what you're doing,
Right.
and stop helping to destroy the men. Because at the end of the day, a lot of men created the circumstances. You know who's reaping the benefits of all of this? All of the weak men. You look at right now, you look at all the people who are being targeted and crazy. The men, they're the strongest men. The ones who are getting destroyed and attacked the most, those are the strongest men. When they're sending a steady diet of women after men, that tells you that the men cannot do it themselves. They're afraid to face that man, so they're sending the women in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, because they know he can't get away with doing the same thing to a woman that he do to a man. So it gives them a lot of disadvantage or a lot of advantage.
The only time they'll come and send men is when they have men with guns, right? That's the only time, because then they'll be able to win the argument, because if they don't, they'll shoot you, right? You can't really say as much to a man with a gun, right? And that's what they use. They use force and everything else. There is never a level playing field. They always use something to try to put you at a disadvantage. And when you look at these things and look at the things and what the lengths that people will go and do, this is where people need to start paying attention. Be careful of who you're sitting down and wanting to destroy. When you don't know what that person is about, you don't know how much you're shooting your own face off.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the Philistines did. That's exactly what Delilah did. And what they ended up doing was causing greater destruction upon themselves for taking out one man. I guarantee you, every single one of them, when they saw that roof crashing down, they sorely regretted what they did, but it was too late.
Yeah. I agree.
So, you know what? When people sit down and rejoice, like they know everything that was going on, I mean, by all means, when people go out and try to do God's will and you go to destroy them, it never turns out well for you. It never does. Like Solomon says, you're going to dig a pit too, because you're going to fall in one, right? So this is where people need to start using their head and following what God says. And at this point in time, I'm just going to close here with a prayer, and so forth, because we need a lot of prayer right now. And at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. And people want to sit down and say that this person is that and that person is this. Remember, the founding fathers of the United States, they were criminals in the eyes of the British and most of the people that were in America, because most of them didn't want to rock the boat. They were willing to suffer the evils while evils were sufferable. And they were criminals.
Yeah.
The only reason why they weren't criminals and weren't tried and executed was because they won the war.
Yeah, literally.
That's really it. So keep that in mind when people start going out and chasing people down, calling them this or that, because a lot of the times the people that are doing what's right, they are breaking unjust laws because it is tyranny and tyrannical. And so saying that somebody did something wrong, you need to really start sitting down and thinking whether or not that thing was just. Was that action justified before you start doing things? Because if there's corruption in government, it's not just only to one party. If it is, you're biased and blind, and you're useless to everybody else.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
just not even rational.
I'll close here with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. Open our hearts and minds to your will. And, oh Father, this day I ask of you, in the name of Jesus, to pour out your Spirit upon your children and help the men and women to come together to rebuild their families, their churches, their community, our nation. That we can have some protection from the children who need it the most is my prayer. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Okay. Anything to say before we go?
I mean, yeah, just double down. Said, I guess you said
Can't hear you.
Oh, I said, I guess you said it really, like, you really said what needed to be said. People need to just assess what's really going on. Anyways, thanks, guys, for your time and consideration. And to my dear spirit, until we meet again.